High time that those who make such blatant misuse of the freedom of free speech are brought to book and are taught a lesson. Well, let's pose that question to our panelist, Rajesh Kogana. He's a lawyer and human rights activist, and also N.K. Singh, senior journalist. I'll come to you first, N.K. Singh. Don't you think that the government has done the right thing, and this was something that needed to be done perhaps even earlier?
Gautam, I think this cannot be countenanced. The very fact that it is clear-cut sedition, case of sedition, for the simple reason that in the preamble of the Constitution, we the people of India, very categorical, we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist and democratic was brought in subsequently, democratic republic. So it is incontrovertible. It cannot be split. Here you are raising slogans to scatter this country, to split this country into smithereens. This cannot be countenanced. That is one. Second, freedom of expression, you talk about that. It is sovereignty and integrity which was brought into existence through 16th Amendment of the Constitution.
Yes.
And that was after China war. Nehru brought it. Same Nehru, about whom you are saying that Nehru had also advocated plebiscite. That is what the Aristotle logic is. Now the issue is, it was brought into existence, sovereignty and integrity was brought into existence in 1963. Why? Leftists were pro-China, those days China war was underway. And leftists were, some of them were siding with China.
Right.
That was the reason why this amendment was brought into existence. Now you are doing the same thing. And same punishment should be meted out to you people, because you are not talking about some basic freedom of expression. You are challenging, Bharat ke tukle kar denge. You are raising pro-Pakistan slogans. Do you know that JNU will not come into existence if India is not one? Because it is Central University. Where will JNU be? Therefore, the severest punishment that can be conceived of should be meted out to these persons, so that it is ultimately completely curbed. Such tendencies should not be allowed to crop up.
Rajesh, you're a lawyer and a human rights activist. Can you explain to the people what does freedom of expression really mean? Because it's there in our constitution. People think that they can say whatever they want, but that is not actually the case. The constitution itself was amended to put limits to it.
Yes, definitely. Freedom of speech, as far as this fundamental right is concerned, every citizen can express his views without any fear. And but any right which is given to a citizen is not without restrictions. And even the Constitution says and the court says that reasonable restriction can be imposed about this freedom of speech. And these reasonable restrictions are there in the form of the Indian Penal Code or other acts which deal with it. And as far as this freedom is concerned, to what extent it can go. Now, as far as JNU episode is concerned, I have seen the students shouting some slogans that Bharat ki azadi, Bharat ki barbadi tak jang rahegi.
We don't need to repeat them.
No, that is important, because when they say, they were not shouting slogans, they were not giving a call for a struggle for the poor persons, for the beggars, for the peasants, for the farmers, for the marginalized section of society.
Very stretched interpretation.
What they were giving the call is to wage war against the government of India. And when they give a call to wage war against the government of India, they give a call to wage war against the Parliament of India. They give a call to wage war against the judiciary of India, against the cultural institution of this country, about every one of us. So it was not just a extension of the freedom of expression. It was basically a call for the war against each and every institution of this country, including us.
In fact, N.K. Singh, would you say that if action had not been taken against these students, it would have encouraged all those elements who are waging war
exactly, Gautam,
against India, internally and externally?
Subsequently, this will have a domino effect. So these tendencies, if you want to keep country intact and ensure its integrity, then you should take harshest punishment which can be exemplary, so that in future such tendencies are not allowed to be cropped up. That is where the problem lies. That yesterday I came to know that the question is that why political class is chipping in, why Rajnath Singh is making a statement. Who else will do that? There is a clear palpable case of a few
He's the man in charge of internal security in the country.
Slogans. And therefore, it is a palpable case. I mean, there is a cast iron case. And therefore, we are not, government is only doing that. They have booked them, they have brought them to books, and that is how this legal process is underway. So, harshest punishment should be meted out to these tendencies. Because it's not, our colleague has very rightly put it, it is not a war against even government. You do it. In democracy, you can wage a war against government.
What is war against government? It's a war against people, isn't it?
No, it is war against the state.
Yeah.
That is what I'm saying. There is a
Yeah,
difference
totally.
between the two. Any political party can say, I will wage a war against the government, and they do. In democracy, that is adversarial democracy, that is the format we have. The doctrine of adversarial democracy. Here it is a question of you are waging a war against sovereignty of this country, and that cannot be countenanced.
As far as freedom of expression is concerned, Rajesh, again, 66A of the IT Act was a test case. The Supreme Court said the law doesn't make sense, but very quickly it also felt the need for a new law because the absence of 66A was being misused. So freedom of expression is clearly something that has to have limits. That's what the Supreme Court has also said.
As far as 60A is concerned, the court doesn't say that as far as the remedies, as far as the provision of section 124 of IPC, as far as this provision is concerned, it has not declared that it has become ultra-vires. This section still remains. So that say, okay, as far as the any comment put on the Facebook or anywhere else, so if that comment is against a politician, if you keep on arresting the people, that would be against, definitely that would be curbing the freedom of expression.
Right.
But as far as these things are concerned, it is not a simple thing. They were not giving a call for anything ordinary. They were giving the call for waging war against each and every institution of this country. It is different. It cannot be. There are no parallels between them. They are altogether different and distant.
And those who are
What was the
questioning
matter
the
of
charge of
fact?
sedition, can there be any other charge apart from sedition?
No, nothing less than sedition
This act is seditious.
will suffice the purpose. Nothing else than no dilution of the charges. Because I am clear about it, they are deriving this freedom of expression through the same constitution which also restricts, gives reasonable restriction, powers to a state to impose reasonable restriction under the 19.2. And there are 8 restrictions. 4 were original restrictions, and 3 came into existence in 1951 First Amendment, and this was 16th Amendment in which sovereignty and integrity was brought into existence. Now, if you are questioning the very sovereignty of this nation, there is no dilution in the whatever law you have as of now. The severest punishment should be meted out under that law, and that is only 124(1). So therefore, there is no dilution of there is no dilution in this whole exercise. You will willy-nilly have to charge them under this section. Otherwise, this will have domino effect.
Right.
Because we are very categorically seeing that these tendencies are cropping up in this country, and we should be on guard against these tendencies first.
Now, Rajesh, the police is taking action. One arrest is taking place. The university is also probing the matter. The Vice Chancellor has already said that it's a case of indiscipline. Now, what should be the action here? Because there are people who are clearly questioning why are these students being allowed to take benefit of subsidized education. There are figures of 3 lakh rupees per student. Do you think that should also be something that should be targeted, that should be eliminated?
I cannot comment upon it because I'm a lawyer, I'm a human rights activist, but I think that whether it is a fit case where it should be within the embargo of the limitations put under freedom of expression. And as far as the criminal case is concerned, they are not being prosecuted, they are not being imprisoned, they have been put on trial. So the rule of law has been set into motion.
Right.
So there is nothing wrong in it because they have been arrested, they have been produced before the court. The court has not granted them bail. The court may grant them bail. Then the trial will go ahead. If the court comes to the conclusion, yes, they have committed the offence of sedition, definitely they are going to be punished. Even then, the appeal would be there.
What is your
They can
take
go
in
to High
saying
Court
on the
and Supreme
criminal,
Court.
apart from criminal action, what other action should there be?
No, one thing is very clear, that criminal action against them precedes all other indiscipline. So indiscipline is a very minor charge. University obviously must look into that. I mean, the university cannot be oblivious of the fact that they had
And of the
raised
crime that they're being accused of, which is sedition.
no, then to on a stock.
It's a very serious crime.
Very serious.
So the
crime.
action
I
by
mean,
the
this
university
is-
needs to be equally serious.
This is more than a murder charge. That is where I'm saying that a war against sovereign integrity of this country, and that too in public utterances, you are saying without any fear of punishment. That is where the problem lies. That in university area or university campus, if you are raising collectively such kind of slogans, then I don't think there is any punishment can be given less than sedition.
Well, clearly no cause can condone the kind of action that these students have perpetrated, and if they're being booked for sedition and proceeded against for sedition, that is the course to take. That's what our panelists also feel. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.